Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, let me thank you, all your distinguished guests here today, but in particular the Hellenic Air Force and you, General Bourrias, to host me here in this prestigious conference. For me, it's an honor and a privilege to be here talking to you about what we're doing in the Italian Air Force to cope with this new normal, as they say. I will start my short presentation by talking about three events, apparently separate from each other, happening as we speak, and involving many men and women of the Italian Air Force. First, one of our operational F-35 squadron is getting ready to deploy to Norway for a high-end exercise with allies and partners called Arctic Challenge. Second, we have a team, more teams actually, of officers, including flight test crews, young cyber specialists, and fifth-generation pilots who are engaged in meetings with other extremely knowledgeable international partners, concepting activities aiming to define what the requirements of the sixth-generation combat air program will be. Third, a deployment of Tornado is in Andravida Air Base here in Greece, taking part to the Iniokos 23 exercise and fly high-end training missions in a multinational environment. These are three examples I can give you of the main effort being made by the Italian Air Force in the last 2 decades. First of all, we are aiming to reach the leading edge in aerospace technology in order to be able to deliver effective air and space power in the future. But while making the best use of the system, we have today working and training with our allies. Just recently, we have begun our operational journey with the fifth-generation aircraft. In the same way, tomorrow, sixth-generation system will be needed in the new normal operational environments. Since its inception, air power has been an essential element for generating asymmetry in the strategic content, as we heard in the previous panel. In about 100 years, from the very first employment of an aircraft in a war by the Italian in Libya in 1911, air power has become the cornerstone of deterrence and for any kind of strategy. Already available resource for a rapid response crisis and the key enabler for land and sea and military operations. The prominent role of air power in the military domain is an enduring and recurrent attribute of war. It does not lose its value when considering the actual dynamically changeable course of warfare. What I say is that no war can be conducted successfully without air power. Therefore, to those who write essays and articles announcing a paradigm shift in the nature of war that underplays the role of air power, using what is happening in Ukraine as a reference, we answer loudly and clearly that air power attributes and roles are inherent in nature and will remain unchanged in the future. Looking to those trends, we can easily assume that the future will be even more unpredictable than ever. The ongoing situation in the Eastern Europe with Russian invasion of Ukraine is just the beginning of a new era of worldwide international competition and disorder. And we just have another example in Africa. What is happening in Sudan is another wake-up call for the Western countries, I would say. This will be the new normal. Russian invasion proved that under the ash, great power competition has never gone away. New normal is nothing new. Maybe it's just simply normal. Nevertheless, to keep air power relevant in the new normal strategic arena, we have to adapt ourselves continuously. Change while we operate. This is the challenge we need to tackle to make air power standing the test of time in the incoming years. Now I'm going to provide a quick overview of the work we are doing to keep Italian Air Force fit for its purpose, looking at three specific macro areas: operations, capabilities, and training. From a pure operational point of view, we are focusing on being ready and being projectable. Let's say anywhere, anytime is our conceptual reference. Readiness is a key concept because we need to be able to respond swiftly to any possible threats emerging from the security context. Deployability enables our capabilities to be where they are needed. So just to show you that these are not just words, let me highlight that Italy has been one of the first nations to send a robust contingent to the eastern flank to testify alliance unity and decisiveness in protecting NATO airspace. In very few days after conflict kicked off, we doubled our commitment in Romania, supporting all air operations on the eastern flank with our F-2000, Boeing 767, and our Conforma airborne early warnings. The ability to project forces needs to be also contextualized to different possible scenarios. For sure, we are relearning old things from what is happening in Ukraine. For example, Ukrainian war stocks have been rapidly displaced and dispersed. To the contrary, Russian material has remained highly vulnerable to long-range fires because it was concentrated into big hubs. So we need to understand how to balance being light and mobile versus having a robust logistic footprint. In addition, we have noticed the ability of Ukrainian Air Force to operate from multiple dispersed airfields, sometimes located a long way from the front. This is also an important lesson, the importance to conduct dispersed operation to defy opponent precision strikes. So the agile combat employment is the strategic concept that supports this requirement, and we are investing resources into this direction. Now, concepts need to be tested, and that's why we are conducting multiple exercises involving all our assets, like the F-35, F-2000, the Conforma airborne early warning for command and control, the Boeing 67 and C-130s for air-to-air refueling, and the Predator for ISR purposes, and to make sure that we learn as fast as possible how to be anytime, anywhere. In a nutshell, our expeditionary capability. So looking at the capability area, I'd like to recall Italian philosopher Giambattista Vico, who used to say that history is made of recurring cycles. We know that great power competition was there and is still present. That is why we have been procuring high-end capabilities to stand situations that might require the use of those capabilities. But we are already looking at the sixth-generation air combat system with partners and industries. Additionally, we also believe that to be relevant in supporting the joint functions, we need a critical mass of capabilities. So we need both quality but also quantity. And we also know that we are not going to fight alone. We are part of an unparalleled community of peace, freedom, and security. That's why we are investing significant resources to participate and to organize complex international exercise where we can share tactics and procedures with partners and allies, employing state-of-the-art weapon system and learning together how to operate in a high-end fight. So when it comes to role of air power also enabling surface operation, in future I simply recall what happened in Ukraine at the beginning of the conflict. 60 kilometers long line of destroyed Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers on the road to Bucha, and the dramatic images of the sinking Moskva. They are there, the essence of what other components would experience if conducting operations by land or sea without the prerequisite of control of the air. Consequently, the Italian Air Force Aerospace Operation Command is conducting multiple activities with the Multinational Division South in order to gain a reciprocal awareness of capabilities and procedures in order to increase the interoperability between air, land, and Navy forces. Of course, in the new normal, there is no room left for the old cervix-centric approach. We will be operating together with other components and all our cyber and space capabilities in order to generate effects in the multiple domain. At the speed of relevance, to use the words of Lieutenant General Brown, the Chief of the United States Air Force, to disarticulate opponent ability to respond in a coherent way. Cyber and space are not just add-ons, they are fundamental dimensions that need to be defended and exploited to operate in the future. In Italy, we are aware of the importance of space. We have a long history in space. Third nation in the world to launch a satellite in the early 60s. Through years, the Italian Air Force has always been willing to develop space capabilities. We believe that no line can separate air from space. From an operational point of view, they are the same thing. Today, there is a technology, as you know, operating from space that can pose a serious and significant threat to our population, our forces, and our territory. So we want to be ready to carry out our mission and protect our country against these new threats in what is called the new normal. Finally, we are well aware that exploiting the full potential of fifth-generation systems alongside with fourth-generation assets is critical for our ability to meet emerging and evolving strategic challenges. Consequently, we are investing time and resources in conducting operational tests and evaluation activities to generate tactics, techniques, and procedures to integrate modern and legacy systems, both manned and remotely piloted, in a single network that will allow us to operate in contested environments. So the system of systems need to pour data into and absorb information from a resilient and secure combat cloud to support decision-making and maintain high situational awareness. But as you might understand, you pretty know very well, owning aircraft system and technology does not equate to delivering air power. Personnel is the source of air power. That makes the hardware alive. We need dedicated, highly skilled, highly specialized, and highly trained personnel to enable employment of air power. The Italian Air Force is investing a lot on basic and advanced training, both for aircrew and C2 battle managers. We are putting a lot of resources into our operational training infrastructure project in Sardinia in order to integrate it into a single federated national and international network of simulators to generate a live, virtual, and constructive environment. We want to expose our aircrews to realistic threats and challenges so they can learn how to manage the complexity of modern scenarios, modern warfare. We really want to implement the mantra, train as you fight. In addition, we want to do it with our allies and partners. Similarly, we have invested a lot in the International Flight Training School. Not only we are trying to exploit the T-346 advanced jet training capabilities and simulators, but we also expanded the connection to our industry to be more effective and more efficient from a logistic point of view. Thus, the school offers an integrated, live, virtual, and constructive environment where students are exposed to realistic, simulated tactical scenarios with threats and targets, simulating onboard sensors and weapons, and minimize the student will spend at the operational conversion unit later on during their training. Air power, starting from very humble origins, skyrocketed into space with value and sacrifice, as the Italian Air Force motto proudly put it. virtute siderum tenus. And Jules Douai used to say, victory smiles to those who anticipate the change in the character of war. We have acquired high-end capabilities, and we are building new ways to generate training to meet all the challenges emerging from a modern scenario, to face any type of competitor, anytime and anywhere. This is the Italian Air Force view at our 100-year birthday, but still young in the spirit to operate in the new normal. We stand on and support Europe, NATO, allies, anytime, anywhere, for freedom, peace, and security. So what is the single biggest takeaway I can offer you? My answer is that it's not only a matter of new technologies. There is a strong need to rethink a collective strategy regarding capability, technology, and training. More and foremost, we have to foster international dialogue to always build trust and bridge any gap between nations. For all these reasons, we welcome and are grateful for all the opportunities where we can share our views and pave the road for robust cooperation as Europeans, NATO allies, and partners. So thank you for your attention, and thank this valuable Air Forum, which constitute an additional great opportunity to shape our future. Thank you very much.